Okay, let's jump right into this explainer covering the life, the reign, and the breaking news surrounding King Harald V of Norway. We're looking at a monarch whose life story is just deeply and amazingly intertwined with the modern history of his nation.
And right now, an entire nation is holding its breath. As news breaks, we're learning that as of August 27, 2026, the king has been hospitalized. He's battling a serious bacterial bloodstream infection and hemolytic anemia, which is a condition where red blood cells are destroyed faster than the body can make them. His condition is officially being described as very serious. And with the royal family rushing to gather at his bedside, his historic reign is suddenly in immediate jeopardy.
This incredibly urgent moment really begs a big question. Why does this man matter so deeply to his country? What does he actually represent to the people of Norway? Well, to understand the true gravity of today, we have to look back at his amazing journey and the legacy he's built over the decades.
Section 1. A Nation on Watch. The August 2026 Health Crisis.
His Majesty has actually battled health issues for quite some time, going all the way back to the early 2000s. And these recurring crises have constantly forced his son, Crown Prince Haakon, to step up as regent to fulfill royal duties. In fact, this current situation marks the 5th time he's had to do so. We also know that after pretty severe infection during a trip to Malaysia back in 2024, the king had to permanently scale back his public duties. But make no mistake, this latest hospitalization is being widely reported as uniquely severe.
Section 2. First of his kind, a historic birth and reign.
To truly grasp the weight of this moment in 2026, we have to travel all the way back to his very beginnings. His life is literally a mirror of modern Norwegian history. Born at the Skogum estate in 1937, he was actually the first Norwegian-born king in 567 years. Think about that timeline for a second. Just 3 years later, in 1940, he's fleeing the German invasion, spending World War II in exile in Sweden and the US. By 1957, he becomes crown prince, taking his seat at the Council of State. And finally, in January 1991, he officially accedes to the throne following the death of his father, King Olaf V.
Upon taking the throne, he adopted this incredibly powerful motto, "We give our all for Norway." He swore an oath to uphold the Constitution right there in early 1991 and later received a formal church benediction at Nidaros Cathedral. He was basically continuing a profound, deeply rooted legacy that was established by his father and his grandfather before him.
Now, understanding his exact role here is absolutely crucial. A constitutional monarchy means the monarch shares power with a constitutionally organized government. So his duties? They're largely symbolic and ceremonial, rather than political. He's the foremost symbol of the Norwegian community, truly serving as a unifying figurehead for the nation.
Section 3. The Olympian Monarch. Sailing for Norway.
3. That is the number of Olympic Games he competed in. As an avid, passionate sailor, he represented Norway in 1964, 1968, and 1972. He even served as his country's proud flag bearer at the Tokyo opening ceremony.
And he didn't just compete, he won. He was taking home major championships well into his senior years. We're talking silver in '82, gold in '87, bronze in '88, and, get this, a European Championship gold in 2005, sailing with his crew on the Fram XV. It just goes to show his lifelong, relentless dedication to the sport.
But his adventurous spirit isn't just out on the water. It is literally mapped onto the Earth itself. Back in 2013, the Norwegian Polar Institute dubbed over 2,500 square miles of eastern Svalbard Harald V Land in his honor. That's a massive area. And to top it all off, in 2015, he became the world's first reigning monarch to ever step foot in Antarctica.
Section 4. Duties of the Crown. The King's Role.
So while he doesn't sit around making political policy himself, he plays an absolutely vital constitutional role in making sure there's a peaceful transition of power. Whenever governments change, the current prime minister resigns directly to the king. Then, the king consults with them on who should form the new government and formally asks that selected candidate to take charge. It's an essential cornerstone of the entire Norwegian democratic process.
He also balances two massive dual roles beautifully. On one hand, he's the highest-ranking military officer in the nation, holding the rank of general in the Army and Air Force and admiral in the Navy. But on the other hand, he's Norway's ultimate chief diplomat. He's conducted over 50 state visits, including a huge milestone trip to Jordan in 2020, where he promotes Norwegian culture, research, and business on the global stage.
Section 5. A modern, inclusive reign. Breaking tradition. Despite the ancient nature of his title, King Harald is distinctly known for dragging the monarchy right into the modern era. In a huge break from tradition, he fought a 9-year battle to marry Sonja Haraldsen, a commoner. He literally refused to marry anyone else, essentially sparking a constitutional crisis in the process. But he held firm until parliamentary leaders and his father, King Olav, finally caved and granted permission for their 1968 wedding at Oslo Cathedral.
This push for modernity also completely reshaped the succession laws. See, prior to 1990, it was a male preference system, which meant his son Håkon was the heir. In 1990, the law shifted to full gender equality. But there was a catch. It was decided this wouldn't be retroactive. It only applied to royals born after 1990. Because of that little detail, Crown Prince Håkon remains the heir apparent today rather than his older sister, Princess Martha Louise.
His modern approach really culminated in an incredibly famous, deeply passionate speech delivered at a 2016 Royal Palace garden party. Addressing over 1,000 guests, he famously stated, "Norwegians are girls who love girls, boys who love boys, and boys and girls who love each other. Norwegians believe in God, Allah, everything and nothing." In that single moment, he defined a Norwegian not by borders but by a shared inclusive humanity. Now, as you might expect, the public reaction to this speech was fiercely divided. On one side, many widely praised his inclusive message, really celebrating his push for progressive tolerance, solidarity, and generosity toward marginalized groups. But on the flip side, critics strongly argued that a wealthy, unelected royal living behind armed security just shouldn't be lecturing the general public on migration policies or attempting to redefine cultural and ethnic identity. It was a polarizing moment for sure, and it really highlighted the absolute complexities of being a modern monarch in a rapidly changing world.
Section 6, the final chapter, looking ahead.
Which brings us right back to the immense, heavy tension of August 2026. As his family gathers by his hospital bed today, we are all left to reflect. What has King Harald V's reign truly meant for Norway, and how does the nation move forward from here? He's been an Olympian, a boundary-breaking modernizer, and a steadfast statesman. So how will his legacy continue to shape the Norwegian identity? And what exactly happens when his steadying presence is no longer there? It's a profound question to leave you with, and one that an entire nation is currently waiting to answer.